Kara Eastman. Now, Kara, this is in Nebraska, the 2nd congressional district. There was another election there. You came very close to winning already.
That's right, in 2018.
I mean, it was within 1 or 2 percentage points.
Yes, 1.9%, 4,945 votes, one of the closest races in the country.
It's just, I don't know. When it gets that close, I always, it invites scrutiny. But I'm very excited that you're with us today because I think your platforms, your priorities, and your areas of emphasis are those which we all should have. I almost don't know where to start, but let's start with what you feel is most important. I mean, I know you have plans for infrastructure, you have plans for public expenditure, you have plans for linking the public and private sectors in various enterprises. Please go ahead and take the lead on that.
Sure. Well, I'm running on an end to corruption in politics, which now sometimes, given the current administration, seems laughable. But I do not take corporate PAC money. I believe we need to end gerrymandering as a practice. Our own district has been victimized by it, as it is a fundamental threat to our democracy. I'm also running and have people having a livable wage again in the midst of a pandemic, more important than ever, where I've talked to people who are saying they actually are earning a little bit more on unemployment than through their job, which is crazy that they were paid that little. And expanding healthcare. I believe in a baseline of healthcare for every American, and that Medicare for all is the way we get there.
It's interesting you mentioned the pandemic because I think you're right. In a way, the pandemic has exposed a lot of these issues that you've been talking about, I think, for some time, expose them in a more naked way maybe than they've been exposed before.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. I think the idea that each one of us, the vast majority of Americans are one financial hiccup away from complete disaster. And now we're seeing that, right? We're seeing where people are losing their jobs and therefore losing their health care, where they're potentially losing their housing, and just an upheaval of American families. And this is unbelievable that we are all that fragile.
And when you look at these packages, these relief packages and the rescue packages, how would you as a legislator campaign to make that money work for you in Nebraska?
Look, I think some of the things that have been done are good. There's one way that our current congressman failed, which is that some of that CARES money wasn't able to come to Omaha, the biggest city in the district, because of our population being just under 500,000, which is crazy. He should have fought for that. But to me, where we should have started is with workers, with small businesses, micro businesses, and then worked our way up, as opposed to the opposite.
Of course, that's true. I mean, this is a relief package that's top down, and it should be bottom up all the way. And that's, again, I think you have sort of a populist platform. I mean, I don't know why I say sort of, it is. And so in that spirit, I'm sure you'd like to see a lot of these monies directed toward those people who need it the most before, if you will, some of those big corporate interests.
Right. And obviously, none of us wants to see any big companies go under because obviously they have a lot of employees. They do some good, right? It's not that. It's just that when you have the president of the United States say things like, oh, well, small businesses will be okay, but maybe some of them will be under new ownership, that is a complete disconnect for these small businesses that might be legacy businesses where their parents passed down a restaurant to them, or where this is something they built. I mean, their hard work, it just undermines the dignity of working people.
Oh, wow. It's a great point. I guess I don't take seriously a lot of what he says. And frankly, I should, because I think his henchmen take seriously what he says, or those people around him. I use the word henchman, not you. But I'm just saying that the coterie of people who respond to his every whim do take seriously what he says. And you're right. I mean, a lot of what he says, though, I think falls into the category of empty promises,
Well, and that's what we've seen over and over again. Empty promises. Investing in infrastructure hasn't happened. Lowering prescription drugs hasn't happened. Draining the swamp. My God, we have more swamp than ever.
And by the way, it's not fair even to ask someone who's running for a congressional seat necessarily this question, because, I mean, you need a coalition. You need almost a movement, a legislative movement to hold a chief executive responsible for some of these things. But I'm just wondering what your strategy that you would bring to office might be about these various issues that you mentioned.
I mean, frankly, the question I get asked is if Donald Trump wins and I win, how do we do that, right? And the reality is there are things that Republicans care about: lowering the deficit, investing in infrastructure, making sure that we have efficient, effective government. I mean, I think that's where we come together. But the difference is, I think we have a lot of politicians running for office saying they're going to compromise, they're going to do bipartisan stuff, and everyone's going to work together. But there's a difference between compromising your values and compromising to get things accomplished. And I think that's something that I've been pointing out over and over again. It's like, I'm not going to compromise my values. I'm telling people who I am, what I stand for. And if they want me to be in office, that this is who I am. But I'm really tired of politicians saying stuff like, oh, we're all going to work together. But that basically means that they're just going to compromise their values to get reelected.
Yeah, if they even do that. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think that can just be pablum. Just so many words. I like the fact there's something about you that I really like, and it's that you come out of that world of nonprofits, don't you? Don't you have a background in that? Yeah,
over 20 years.
Speak to that for a moment, because I think it's important, especially when it comes to legislative office.
Yeah, I've run nonprofits for over 20 years. I've been hired to start or save nonprofits. I've started my own nonprofits, and I think that nonprofits are an incredible kind of bastion of hope in terms of getting things accomplished. And often when I hear about things like, how we need more affordable housing in this country, I think, well, putting that money in nonprofits' hands is a great idea, because they're people who actually care about the community. They're connected to the community. And I'm really proud of the things that I've accomplished, working on policy, raising money for blighted neighborhoods, focusing on orphan diseases, running domestic violence and homeless shelters. And I think bringing that perspective and that worldview, and that's really the worldview that I've been given, and it's been an honor to be given by the clients that I've served. And having that perspective in Congress could be pretty great.
Yeah, I think when you're tempered by that, as you no doubt have been, by those underserved communities in the nonprofit world, it has to have an effect. And as you say, you've been doing it now. I didn't realize how long you've been doing it. I knew you had a background in nonprofits, but I mean, for that length of time, I just think that has to filter into everything that you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I think about when I look at policies that are being developed as how they're going to impact single moms in North Omaha who are living in crappy housing and struggling to put food on the table. That's the perspective that we need in Congress.
What is the consistency of the 2nd district there in Nebraska?
Besides corn?
I love corn.
I think people just think Nebraska is all cornfields. But, this district, the 2nd district is, and there are three districts in Nebraska. This one it's 98% urban, suburban. It's made up of Omaha and the county we're in, Douglas County, and then part of the county to the south of us, Sarpy County. And we are split between Republicans and Democrats, but a quarter of the electorate are registered independents.
So who shows up to vote typically?
Typically, it's always voters, people over a certain age. And but we do have some bastions of voting in North Omaha, which is predominantly African-American, and South Omaha, which is predominantly Latino. And unfortunately, we're not seeing the uptick in young people voting by mail that we hoped for this time in the primary. But we did double Democratic turnout in 2018. And we're seeing early voting through the roof this time, the ballot applications that are coming back. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but it's definitely been increasing, and we need grassroots campaign like ours that are actually not just getting people out to vote for us, but actually just engaging in robust GOTV efforts to get everyone to vote.
Of course, that's true. I think the challenge probably for you is even greater. You don't have the advantage of incumbency, and you are dealing with this COVID-19 thing, which takes away retail politics and, like having town halls and all the ways you'd normally get your message across. In the last few seconds we have, how have you dealt with that?
Well, we were lucky that we made a full pass in the district at the doors before COVID hit. But we have just reconfigured. We made 10,000 phone calls in the district on Monday. So we've invested in technology to be able to make more phone calls. We have a huge volunteer base, over 200 people that are helping us. And we've just been really switching to phone banking. I spend almost all my time making calls, and then we're doing a lot of stuff digitally. We're on TV. We're doing ballot chasing through mail. So we're doing everything we can. But yeah, it's definitely been a challenge because it's new territory for all candidates, frankly.
It's eastmanforcongress.com if you want more information on Kari Eastman. It was really a pleasure to talk to you and meet you, even this virtual way. And I look forward to good news out of your district.
Thank you so much, and stay healthy.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.